Welcome one, welcome all. The time has come. You know, the Batman's in theaters, and we have fired up the bat signal. For the first time ever, we almost got an entire year in without having to do this, an emergency edition of the NFC East Mixtape, the greatest podcast that SB Nation puts out. Why? Because you can hear it on every single home of every NFC East team at SB Nation, Blogging the Boys, Bleeding Green Nation, Big Blue View, and of course, Hogs Haven. I am RJ Ochoa from Blogging the Boys. He is Brandon Lee Gowton from Bleeding Green Nation. Brandon, it is so great to be with you, my friend.
Oh, man, I can't even imagine any Hogs Haven listeners listening to this. It's not going to be the podcast that's going to make you feel better at all about the freaking dumbest move you could make this offseason, which was give up things for Carson Wentz. RJ, I can't. That's where I come. That's my the essence of the take is this I can't believe because you think teams are dumb, right? And they're gonna make dumb moves, but you give them some benefit of the doubt because it's they won't do something that stupid, right? But they did.
So let me say this, and we tweeted this from Blogging the Boys. I have been down to the dumps as far as football lately. And you know how it goes. Especially, with our jobs, we're very, very blessed and very fortunate to have these jobs. BLG's got a pup in his face. Great to see you. Spread the love. You know how it is, though, when I'm sure when the Eagles are bad or the funk is real, you're just you don't even care. You can't even tolerate anything football-wise, because it's your life. You know what I mean? You're in it. And so, I have been in this funk. I have been so upset. I needed this. I needed something to sink my teeth into. And I will say this. I think the NFC East Mixtape needed this. We fell into an awkward trap this week with Volume 47 where we recorded in the magical hour where Aaron Rodgers had returned to the Packers, but Russell Wilson had not been traded. I actually asked Brandon, I said, do you think the episode's good? He was lazy. He said, yeah, it's good. We don't have to re-record. But lo and behold, the NFC East gods had something in store. So I'm actually kind of appreciative that we get a chance to sort of redo this week. But you obviously, sort of gave it away. The reason we're here, the Indianapolis Colts got somebody to give them something for Carson Wentz. Amazingly, Carson Wentz has fetched draft capital in back-to-back years, Brandon Lee Gowton. He is the newest quarterback of the Washington Commanders. Appropriate that this would land the week that Ben Simmons is not going to play in Philadelphia. I have to imagine that Carson Wentz is already feeling the stress of having to return to the city of brotherly love.
Oh, he's going to get booed he's going to get incredibly booed when he comes back to Philly. It's incredible that this is happening, that there's going to be Jalen Hurts versus Carson Wentz. I mean, how is that not a week one matchup like that? I've been saying I want to see the Eagles and Cowboys play in week one because it hasn't happened in forever. And I think it would be interesting to do that and make sure there are actually a higher chance of two meaningful Eagles Cowboys games because they keep getting booked at the end of the year and it's meaningless for one team or both teams. But we need to see this matchup. And I just want to give a shout out to the listeners here. On the note of the mixtape here, RJ, maybe the podcast is cursed because we keep recording it on Tuesdays and stuff keeps happening and it gets outdated. As pointed out here by @fly_by_nightmare, who said we have to change the recording day. Michael 12026 said he's looking forward to the mixtape. At iTest Takes was listening to the mixtape. You doing your parody voice for the Commanders, talking up Ron Rivera when the news broke of the Carson Wentz trade, and then Chris Harbaugh at DA_C-Train saying that the NFC mixtape dropping seems to mean that we can expect a busy news day to make the podcast dated. So shout out to all the listeners in anticipation and participating in the discourse of the podcast. But it is truly tremendous, RJ. This is the right time. For a long time, I've said on air here to you, I'm like, when is it? When do we do the emergency NFC mixtape episode? And this is clearly the right time.
We threw out the idea of the last time was when a really notable name changed teams in the NFC East. And granted, that was purposeful when DeMarco Murray left in free agency now 7 years ago. Can't believe it's been that long, by the way.
Wow.
But we were like, it needs to be something like that. And that ultimately landed here. The Indianapolis Colts, by the way, the entire NFC East will play the AFC South in 2022.
Yes.
So Carson Wentz gets 3 games against the teams that he has played
Indy.
for.
He has to go back to Indy.
Right.
So he's going to get booed there too, in addition to Philly. That's incredible.
I wanted to throw out one more Twitter user, Pars and Gars, whose Twitter is actually Gars Pars in, said, finished listening to this week's episode when I looked at Twitter and found out, talking about the Carson Wentz trade. Of course, BLT's on Twitter, Brandon Gowton. I'm on Twitter at RJ Ochoa. If you are watching on YouTube, we certainly appreciate you as well. You can see this on both the Blog and the Boys and Bleeding Green Nation YouTube channels. Again, this episode you can access in a number of different places. So, okay, let's kind of get to this. First of all, Ron Rivera. Biggest loser. Like, I know we're not here to do like biggest. I don't know that there's a biggest winner. I think the two biggest losers are Ron Rivera for Ron Rivera's reasons and Terry McLaurin because he's just trapped. But Ron Rivera, we're calling everybody, guys. We're doing everything we can. Throw bouquets of roses at my feet because I am doing the job of a head football coach. Whoa, Ron, holy crap. Last year, you whipped out the Rolodex and you called up Curtis Samuel. This year, you decided that in the game of American football, you need a quarterback. Holy crap. Hall of Fame right now. Let's do it. They missed on Russell Wilson. By the way, again, we didn't get to cover his trade to the Denver Broncos, but both the Commanders and Eagles, I know you wrote about that at Bleeding Green Nation, had trade offers for the former Seattle Seahawks quarterback. Russell would not waive his no-trade clause for either team, obviously chose Denver in the very end. Tough look for you. I get to still love Russell Wilson. I know your love for him.
I still like him.
But, some shine is gone. That's okay. Santa Claus isn't real. I made that joke on a different show lately, but it's okay.
And that is the joke because he is real. Just this is yeah.
Yeah, for all the kids listening, I'm in a bad mood, like I said. But so this is the master plan. This is worse. This is worse than if you throw money, like not even sizable money, but if you throw some money in free agency at Andy Dalton. Like that's a more preferable plan to me. Jimmy Garoppolo, you talked about how the PR campaign behind that would have been, look, this is a quarterback who's been to the Super Bowl, has been to multiple NFC championship games, is coming off an NFC championship game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That would have been easier to sell. We all would have rolled our eyes at that, but this is like literally the worst possible thing. There were murmurings, Hogs Haven was all over this too, that they were going to be interested in Jameis Winston in free agency if and when he does hit the market, unless the New Orleans Saints do bring him back. They're kind of one of these last bridesmaids left without a quarterback to give them a rose, so to speak. This is, objectively, is this not to pay what they did and then to literally pay because they're paying his actual $28 million salary? This is literally the worst thing that the Commanders could have done, is it not? Like, this is the worst offseason of, like, they make me feel so good about the Cowboys. That's how badly they are operating right now.
Yeah, because if you do nothing, then okay, at least you didn't spend the picks. It's not great. Like, you did nothing and now you're still bad. It's not a solution, but like you didn't. This is worse. Yes, this is the worst thing. It's incredible to me for so many reasons. Like, number one, though, contrasting with the Jimmy G of it all, like we could at least sell that to some extent, and like you said, we'd still roll our eyes at it. We wouldn't believe it, but you could at least like make it a talking point. What is the talking point with Carson Wentz? That he was the number 2 overall pick? Okay. Like, that's been a while ago. He hasn't played like the number 2 overall pick.
It's the offseason of number 2 overall picks. Marcus Mariota, Mitchell Trubisky, Carson Wentz. Their time is coming, baby. Watch out.
But the timing is so awful. Speaking of timing, this is the same day, RJ, that as I wrote about for bleedinggreennation.com, that this little anecdote came out about how Carson Wentz, quote, voiced his displeasure with the Eagles' success, end quote, to other injured players during the Eagles Super Bowl run.
So I saw this
on the same day.
I didn't get a chance to read this. Like we were talking, I had a very busy day prior to jumping on the emergency episode here with you. Explain that. I haven't read the story yet. I will, bleedinggreennation.com. But so Carson Wentz was pissed. Look, like every conspiracy theory that anyone has ever really had about Carson Wentz wound up being true. Is it not?
Yeah, the context there is that it wasn't even an article about Carson Wentz, like just crapping on him randomly out of the blue. It was an anecdote in a story about and contrasting it how Jalen Hurts is has good intangibles and Carson Wentz, by contrast, did not. And so it was brought up in that context. And I've heard that before too. So that's not just coming out of nowhere. But we've seen it over the years. There's been like endless reports about Carson Wentz not being a good teammate. And obviously, like, I just don't get this part. Again, how do you sell it when Frank Reich was like Carson Wentz's remaining biggest believer and Frank Reich gave up on him? Like, everyone was like, Indy's the place. He's going to get fixed. He's going to do great. Well, he didn't. And he melted down in epic fashion against the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars.
Who the Commanders still have to play this year as well. You're right. Like,
no guarantee you win that game.
It's
unthinkable.
It's unthinkable for any team to do it, right? Like it would be one thing if Carson had gotten cut and you're the team that's like, okay, let's sign him. You never know. Maybe that, like the second overall pick thing, maybe that comes into play. But to give up assets for him,
valuable assets,
it was still stupid of Chris Ballard to do it last year. And I maintain I've been the only dude who's like ripping the Colts for this. By the way, I know even you have championed my.
Well, I ripped them
that.
At the time last year. I thought it was a dumb trade.
But like, and now I hate that everyone's like, well, good job by the Colts. Yeah, good job by the Colts. Like climbing out of the pit they jumped into, they cannonballed into this thing.
Well,
but anyway,
the Howie Roseman thing. It's like, oh, he's doing a good job rebuilding the team. Okay, we tore it down. Anyway.
So here's what the Commanders gave up, just to kind of get there. They gave up their third-round pick this year in 2022. They swapped second-round picks with the Colts this year. What picks are those exactly? I know you have that information.
I think it was like 47 to 41, something like that, or 47 to 42.
And you said the value of the dip that the Commanders are taking is equivalent to a fourth-round pick. So they kind of effectively surrendered a fourth-round pick this year. And they also gave up a third-round pick next year that is a conditional second, becomes a second-round pick, similar to the situation that Indianapolis was in with their second and now first going to Philadelphia. The Commander's condition is that he plays 70% of plays. Again, a little bit different language than what the Colts had going on. So what could amount to ultimately as a third, a second, and a swap of a second. So yeah, that's a valuable asset. Like people freaked out when the Rams gave that up for Von Miller and he wound up helping them win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like this is insane.
And then the money, like the Colts didn't take on any of Carson Wentz's money. Like Washington has to pay it all, and that's significant still too. Like that's not great. So they were clearly totally desperate at quarterback, and I get that they were. I don't fully buy that, like, because people were like, oh, they should have played it closer to the vest. I mean, I don't know. Does that really make a difference? Like everyone knew they needed a quarterback. It doesn't really help to say it be so transparent about it, but they were stuck in a tough spot. It wasn't like they had amazing options, but I just don't think this was the option. And they have the potential to kind of get lucky in terms of if they still take a quarterback, like let's say Malik Willis at Kenny Pickett at number 11, and they turn out to be great, and maybe Carson Wentz gets benched for them and they thrive. Like, okay, maybe that'll work out, but geez, I mean, you can't feel amazing about that. And even so, even if that is the case, it was still a dumb decision to trade for Carson Wentz. It's a really bad move. I don't see the sell. I keep coming back to that, RJ. What is the sell if you're Washington? The only thing I can think of is that once upon a time in 2017, which was a long time ago now, Carson Wentz had a really good game against the Carolina Panthers, where Ron Rivera was present for, in Carolina, and that was kind of like the game that really crystallized Carson Wentz's MVP.
It was Thursday Night Football, right? That game, yeah.
And like the Eagles' legitimacy as like a Super Bowl team for a lot of people, a lot of Eagles fans, they will say that game is the game they remember. That was like, okay, this is going to be a special season. They're for real. So maybe it was that, but like, come on, bro. Like a game, like 5 or 6 or whatever years ago now, 6 seasons ago. Even if
it's not the game, like because like how many times have you said this? But how many times have people said this? Like, oh, well, Carson Wentz was going to win MVP in 2017 before he got hurt, right? Like, even if you believe he would have won MVP, and there's a certifiable case that he would have if he hadn't gotten hurt. Sure. That was 5 years ago. You know, like that was so long
That's
ago.
Forever ago in the NFL.
Like to put that in perspective, like the most recent Super Bowl at the time was the Falcons collapse. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's how long ago it was. And so like it would be one thing to do all this for this player, like who Carson Wentz is as a football quarterback. It would be extremely suspect and extremely questionable and extremely stupid. But there is also the fact that this dude has an incredible ego that is now responsible for his outing in not just one, but 2 places. And not just 2 places, but literally the second place, like you said, the exact environment with the exact dude, the exact shield he needed.
Where he wanted to go.
Well, where he wanted to go, he made that bet. He had to line it. And what's more is you would have thought that if Carson Wentz's time in Indianapolis had not, resulted in a championship, fine, but he never would have acted the way he did in Philadelphia, because at the very least he would have said, okay, you know what, I can't be that guy anymore. Like, I'm getting this fresh start, this fresh opportunity. I have to be somebody different. But the fact that he is the exact same, like, this is so predictably going to go bad for the Commanders. I tweeted this out. I purposely didn't tell you this before we started recording. This is all of the capital given up by the Philadelphia Eagles, the Indianapolis Colts, and now the Washington Commanders to acquire Carson Wentz at 3 different points, because the Eagles did trade up for the second overall pick 6 years ago in 2022. Okay, so the Eagles, and correct me if I'm wrong with any of this, gave up their
2016.
Yeah, so that's what I said.
2022.
Yeah, that was
This
6 years ago. That's what I said.
2022 was 6 years ago?
I said 6 years ago. Now that we're in 2022. Just
Okay.
rewind the tape if you don't believe me. Anyway, so they gave up their first round pick in 2016, which was number 8 overall. They gave up their third round pick in 2016, their fourth round pick in 2016. So the moment of trading, the Philadelphia Eagles gave up their first, their third, and their fourth in that very next draft. They also gave up their first round pick in 2017, which, fine, whatever, and their second round pick in 2018. Is that correct?
Sounds like it.
Okay. The Indianapolis Colts then gave up their third round pick a year ago, which, as you mentioned, the Eagles wound up trading to the Cowboys of all teams to move up from 12 to 10 to draft Devontae Smith. So that pick actually helped the Eagles let the Cowboys take Micah Parsons. Thanks a lot, Carson Wentz, who is now going to be hunting down Carson Wentz. Look at that. The whole world goes full circle. But to the Colts, goodness gracious, there's so many teams here. The Colts gave up their third round pick last year and what became their first round pick this year. It was a second. There was a conditional first at the time, like we talked about a moment ago. Now the Commanders have given up their third round pick this year, their third potentially second round pick next year, and swapped second round picks this year. So all told, the just volume, and I tweeted this out if you want to look at it right now, the volume of picks given up, there's 5 picks by the Eagles, 2 picks by the Colts, and 2 picks by the Commanders. So that is 9 draft picks, 3 of them first-round picks, and a pick swap as well. So 10 picks ultimately changing hands in some way, shape, or form, all in the name of this mediocre quarterback. It's insane.
I mean, once upon a time, he did have potential, and he did look good at one point. But again, it's forever ago. He's not the same player in terms of the dynamic athleticism. And obviously, he hasn't gotten better in the areas he's really struggled at in terms of fumbling. Still does that a lot. In terms of hero ball, how many times last year did he make, going back to as recently as week 18, which again blew the whole season, where he's just doing totally too much and stupid stuff. It's really incredible, RJ. I want to read you really quick here some instant reaction from our good friends, Hogs Haven on Twitter, at least. A little censored here since it's a family show. Are you effing kidding me? Was their first reaction to the Adam Schefter tweet breaking the news of the Eagles. The Commanders acquiring Carson Wentz. And then the follow-up tweet was, and I read verbatim, No. This can't be real life.
So along those lines, the post with the news at hogshaven.com has 660 comments. And if you're not a frequent SB Nationer, number one, shame on you. But number two, if you were, you would know that anything that has that amount of comments is typically a very toxic thing. Like something horrible has happened or a team has won the Super Bowl. Like that's when, when a post reaches.
I don't think it's the latter for Washington.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just their post like announcing the news. At the bottom though, great blogger trick here. They have a poll.
Yeah.
The question BLG, what grade does Washington get for the Carson Wentz trade? There are 5 options: A, B, C, D, classic options for grades, and the 5th option, Bruce Allen.
Which has the plurality of the votes at 32%. But
that's right.
C is in second at 27. What are we? And B is 19. What are we doing here?
I saw Matthew Berry, the prominent fantasy analyst who's notably a Commanders fan, he tweeted a video and it was like, I actually want to get this right because I don't want to. It was really funny. It made me laugh. Matthew, he's on Twitter at Matthew Berry TMR. I don't know anybody who doesn't follow Matthew Berry, but the caption on the tweet was official talking myself into Carson Wentz video. And I don't know. I haven't watched the video. He might've meant through the lens of fantasy. But BLG, being objective. Okay. Cause we have roasted him so far. I do just want to list a couple of things here. So these are a couple of metrics, from our friends at Football Outsiders. Okay. So Carson Wentz in DYAR, what do you think he ranked in 2021?
I knew all this because I looked this up and I was talking about this on BGN Radio. So I already know the answer.
Okay,
it's
so he was 16th. Now, just for perspective, Jalen Hurts, 17th. Just for perspective, Russell Wilson, 15th. I actually looked this up on Tuesday with regards to Russell Wilson of all people. Right. So I had an eye on this as well. He was right around the same neck of the woods as Russ as far as YAR. As far as DVOA, quarterback DVOA, he was 16th. Again, Jalen Hurts 17th. No big deal. It is what it is. But Dak Prescott third, by the way, just putting that out there. Carson Wentz, VOA 16th, and QBR, the all-important QBR, was 10th. All right, 10th. And I had this take on the SB Nation NFL show recently where I think, he's not the worst quarterback that's available. If you ranked all of the quarterbacks who were available this offseason, off of skill, just off of, skill, who they are, if you played as them in Madden, he's not the worst. I think he's an average quarterback. He's the 16th best quarterback in the NFL. The problem is it's not worth A, the price, or B, putting up with the crap for that particular quarterback, and that clouds the judgment when you're looking at the move in this case. It also it would be stupid for any team to do this, but let alone for this team to do this when you have to play the Eagles twice. Those are two nightmare games brewing for the Commanders right now.
Also, just the lows are so low. They're so crushing because he's just going to do stupid stuff that is and it's just going to be so frustrating from an aesthetic standpoint at the very least, that it's going to be hard. And that's why the Colts reached that point. They're we can't do this. It is too much. I hate the people who are trying to say, actually, he was good last year. He had the same QBR as Russell Wilson.
In a vacuum, he was an okay quarterback.
No, he was not. All. No, he was not. 27-2 is so
help,
misleading.
He had help by way of Jonathan Taylor, but that's
but that was a lot of help. Jonathan Taylor should have been the MVP argument. I mean, obviously it was Aaron Rodgers' award in the end, but for a while there, before Rodgers even started to heat up even more down the stretch, Taylor really should have. The Colts were only in playoff position because of Jonathan Taylor, or at least were primary first and foremost. The Colts had the 5th lowest passing percentage last year. They were running the ball a lot because they didn't trust their quarterback to throw the ball.
Sorry, I got distracted. So we're doing this as a lot of things are happening in the world. Real Madrid and PSG are playing in the Champions League. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see where my allegiances lie.
I want to give a shout out here to since you're bringing up something that people don't care about. I will bring up something many people care about, and that is you called me Brandon Lee on the mixtape on Tuesday, as opposed to including my last name. And loyal listener of the podcast, Elizabeth, my friend E.
Holy crap! Oh my god! I'm sorry, Real. Oh my gosh! Wow.
It's all right. She pointed out that has anyone ever thought to use that as an adverb, like Brandon Lee? BRANDONLY. So there you go. You have no reaction.
Like you're acting like Brandon Lee? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That was very Brandon Lee of you. I've never heard that before. I like it.
I like that. I like how much our show belongs to the universe. You know what I mean? We're just talking heads.
It's the really people's show, baby.
Dude, holy crap! Real Madrid. When we started, I threw this game on in the background, but with my quad screen that everybody cares about, obviously, and
Manchester United fan over here pivoting to his Real Madrid fandom because he has to
soccer is a unique sport. Look, Man United's my top team. I love Real Madrid's colors, and they are my Spanish team. You don't have a Spanish team?
I'm a Barcelona guy.
Of course you are. Wow, that makes sense. What we got to do is we just got to be rivals on everything.
I'm a Chelsea guy first and foremost, but
right, that's what I'm saying. I'm Man United first and foremost, but Real Madrid. If I got to pick a Spanish team, you're obviously Barcelona because you're wrong when it comes to all things. So it is what it is. But yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, this is. There's a tweet, I forget who tweeted it. It might have been Jonathan Sharks from The Ringer when the DeAndre Hopkins trade happened. If you'll recall, the way that news was reported, it was David Johnson that was first. As far as the chronological order of it, it was the Houston Texans are trading for David Johnson. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, a bunch of idiots. And then it was and DeAndre Hopkins is going to Arizona. And I think it was Jonathan Sharks had a tweet that was we were all saying if the Houston Texans gave up anything for David Johnson, then they are the dumbest team in the world. And they wound up giving up DeAndre Hopkins. And that's how I feel about this. How did you give up anything for Carson Wentz. Like, who were you betting against that you had to give up something for the right to pay him this money? Like, look, I'm not like, I know our Hogs Haven listeners have like had this debate 1,000 times. I'm not like, trying to light the fire under the Taylor Heineke train again, but like that's a much more preferable route than this.
Taylor Heineke definitely worse than Carson Wentz. Like definitely.
No.
Like and let's say even he is. Like, okay, to what extent? Like how much? What is the difference? I will say Carson Wentz offers a higher ceiling than Taylor Heineke. Fully, wholeheartedly believe that. Because, I mean, you've seen him play. Yes, it was very long ago, but he did play. He demonstrated he has, in theory, I don't think he possesses it now, but in theory, and just because athletically, too, I think he has athletic tools that give him a higher ceiling. But he's not coachable. He is not a good locker room guy. What is the selling point here? I don't get it. Literally, as you were saying, who was Washington like betting against? Joe Banner, former Eagles president, tweeted out as I'm reading through my timeline. Who did Washington think they were bidding against? He said the same exact thing.
Dude,
there's no redeeming this decision. Even if this works out, RJ. Even if this turns out to somehow be a good move, it was not a good process.
It was complete and total pure luck. That's all it was.
And I was saying this to Jimmy, but I'll repeat myself here. It would be like a self-own if Carson Wentz gets better, because presumably he'd be getting better by realizing that, I need to wake up and actually start to change and actually start to take the head coaching and not be as, inclined to play hero ball and everything. And that would just prove everyone right, like the whole time, and actually be a better teammate. And if he did all that and he does turn out to be a good player, which is not going to happen and is very unlikely, but he would just be proving everyone's criticism of him correct.
So first of all, you said this with Jimmy. As I understand it, the BGN radio audience, if they listen to their episodes in chronological order, they have not heard that yet. Right? Like that is yet to come. That's all I'm saying. Like,
you never know who's going to listen to what first, but yeah,
I'm just saying don't spoil it for people. So that's all I'm saying.
It's too late now.
Just be cool. Second thing is also, like, if there was ever a team to not be the hero on, like a team to like drive the bus for, it was the Colts, like relative to their roster and the players that they had and their defense and Jonathan Taylor. This Washington team is not that. Like, no. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to like now all of a sudden be the sidekick and not like, this is not the hero to be the sidekick for.
Don't draft Terry McLaurin in fantasy. Don't do that. Pro tip, don't do that.
Next up that I was going to say, we got a comment from Philly Kale on Twitter. I tweeted out a screen grab so that I could show off my Real Madrid jersey, or kit, excuse me. And Philly Kale said, I want to watch live to talk about Commander Carson. Dude, I forgot about that. Did you see this? That was so. Hang on, let me find the tweet. Adam Schefter, in tweeting out all the news, I'm just reading this verbatim. Washington is paying the full $28 million due to Carson Wentz this year, which includes a $5 million roster bonus due next week. And then he entered a line. So like this line was like fully emphasized. From now on, it's Commander Carson.
I did
Commander
see that.
Carson. Commander like it sounds like
well, Schefter's weird.
Actually,
so he might just be doing something weird.
Well, we were talking on Wednesday morning before all this happened about how we messed up. We can just admit that the last NFC East Mixtape, not our best work. We didn't even mention that Survivor's premiering tonight. So what a gift from the Survivor gods that we got a chance to sit here and talk about this. But Commander Carson reminds me, if you watch Big Brother, I know you've seen it before. You know the one veto competition where they have to look at the comic book drawings of themselves and they're all like silly cartoon names like Brandon Lee, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like that's what Commander Carson is. Commander Carson is like the like comic book superhero at the where you're checking out in the grocery line, like with the gum and the mints and stuff like that. Like that's the type of quality comic book it is. Commander Carson.
Is Carson Wentz even like their quarterback next year?
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Dan Orlovsky. Carson Wentz is. I was going to say Carson Wentz's biggest fan. I think a more apt description might be Carson Wentz's only fan. But he tweeted. I just lost this. I'm trying to find this now. It's been a crazy day. I'm looking. Where is it? I can do this, BLG.
So be silent and let you twist in the wind.
That's really mean. It's right here. I saw it a moment ago. Here we go. My reaction to Wentz being traded is simple. What do you think it was?
He loves Carson Wentz, so it's probably like he's excited for it.
This is what he wrote. He has this season to save his career as an NFL starter. No, it's over. Like it's over.
Well, I mean,
He's
he
not
literally
an
will
NFL
start this
starter.
year, but yeah.
I can't believe he's going to start for an NFL team. Although, granted, the Commanders are not an NFL team, to be fair.
I mean, I think this is his last year in the NFL because he's not going to get another chance after this. And knowing Carson Wentz the way I do, he's not going to like take a backup role. He's not going to like, unless he totally changes his personality or whatever, or he's like desperate for money. I can't see that. Like something that I feel like doesn't get talked about a whole lot because it doesn't need to and it shouldn't. But remember when Sam Bradford kind of just like faded out of the NFL? He was starting for the Cardinals, and then he got benched, and then he was gone. Like he was good enough to probably be a backup for some teams. There were probably worse backups in the league when he had gotten demoted. But guess what? Sam Bradford, who put up a big stink when the Eagles drafted Carson Wentz and won it out after that, and was pretty embarrassing when he didn't get what he wanted originally and had to come back to the team, and ultimately did get moved. But like, my point is, there are guys like that who think they're the guy always, no matter what. And Sam Bradford taking number 1 overall, Carson Wentz taking number 2 overall. They're not going to be a backup. So I think this is Carson Wentz's last year not even just as a starter in the NFL. I think if it doesn't work out this year, he's done. It's over.
You know, we talk so much about how like elite quarterbacks, like they go from being elite quarterbacks to like nothing, like overnight, right? Like Peyton Manning's career, he goes from being like Peyton Manning to like just a dude, and you know, like from one night to the next. And that's kind of how like if you're a backup quarterback, you're in the NFL or you're just not. Like there are the Chase McDaniels of the world are like that's
Chase
the Tom
Daniels.
Brady life of or Chase Daniels, gosh. It's like there's too many McDaniels, like there's McDaniel now, like there's too much going on here. But Chase Daniels is like the Tom Brady of backup quarterback life. You know, you get those guys every now and then, but like, and sometimes they pop up on TV, like Dan Orlovsky. But I mean, generally speaking, you're right. You're just gone, like in a moment's notice. And like, dude, man, I am already cringing at the, you know, like Instagram post or like the way Carson's gonna sound in his like first press conference, and he's gonna wear like a suit with the like burgundy tie and like. Dude, no, like this is so lame, and I actually think it's big loser energy if the Commanders go through that, because like you cannot roll out the red carpet for this dude. Like that's the problem, is that everyone has continued to roll out the red carpet for him and fed into his ego.
I wonder how he feels about this. I don't think he's thrilled with this. Like, because he really wanted to go to Indy. Like he was buying into this is going to get my career back on track.
They got great places to hunt. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, honestly, seriously, I was just about to get to that. Like there was this talk that like the Midwest culture, like that's a better fit for him than Philly. Like, I mean, I don't think he's gonna like be thrilled about going to Washington where he doesn't really know anyone, and like players aren't totally dumb in terms of like. He knows Washington's a dumpster fire, and he's going to find out quickly, as we talked about, why like Russ wasn't going to go and why Aaron Rodgers weren't going to go to Washington, about how they're like their practice facilities over here and then their stadiums over here, and it's like all far, it's like inconvenient, and it's like a joke. Like he's going to realize all that pretty quick because he was with the Colts, who they haven't obviously had a lot of playoff success recently, but they're at least like they have stability as an organization. And for the Eagles, for all the things wrong with them, they at least have like some of the off the field stuff together and stuff like that. At least when it comes to like having a facility, like a normal facility and all of that, he's going to find out quickly that this is a really bad situation. And I don't think he's going to be thrilled about that. So you already have like this kind of not great leader being in like this unideal situation, and he's probably only going to be a malcontent. Like it's a recipe for disaster. Do you think he gets benched this year? And what week? Because I think they're going to draft a quarterback at 11.
I think you're right. That'd be so funny. I will say yes, he gets benched. So that would be the second time in 3 years that he's benched for a rookie. Well, the second time in 3 years, theoretically, assuming they draft somebody, and that's who he gets benched for. I won't answer the week. I'll answer the week when the schedule comes out, because a lot of it depends on like the narrative. You know what I mean? Like
in the bye week, sure, all that.
Right. Like so, some of it depends on that. But he'll be benched before Thanksgiving. I'll throw that out there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like there's no way. There's like, dude, and like we haven't even talked about this from like, and like we can close here from a Washington perspective. Just a series of L's, like a series of L's, like L after L after L after L for the Commanders. Like what is the last thing that they have done? It can be anything. Like literally a single thing. Like that the cup they had was cool. Like, what was the last thing they did that you were like, man, that's cool. I'd like a piece of that. Nothing. Like, there's nothing. This the continue to take. You know how people say this about the Cowboys, like they take one step forward and two steps back. Like they do that every year. Washington only moves back. That's it. Like they're stuck in reverse.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I just speechless is kind of the word I would use. Although I'm saying it out loud, so I'm quite literally not speechless, but figuratively, I can't believe it. I really can't believe they would be this dumb. I thought for as bad as they were better than this, and apparently not. It's incredible.
So there's a post that just went out like seconds ago at hogshaven.com. The title is Carson Wentz is a Commander. Tell us how you really feel. And all it says is the Washington Commanders traded multiple debut picks and are on the hook for Carson Wentz's $28 million salary this year. Sound off. And they have opened it for comments. I don't think that it is going to go well. BLG.
Much like the Carson Wentz era in Washington.
Wow. Grade this for me. 1 to whatever you want. I mean, like,
huh?
Grade this. Like, grade it however you want. The Carson Wentz trade for
1. Why would you say 1? Scale 1 to 10. Grade.
Yeah,
letter
it
grade?
can be scaled like 1 to like
Here, grade this
like,
for me. Butterfly. Okay.
1 to well, that's what I'm saying. Like 1 to liver and onions. Like it can be anything you want. Like what is the worst thing you can equate this to that is a legitimate grade?
I mean, Bruce Allen is really the good way to put it. Like Hogshaven did.
Point. Yeah.
Like that's kind of the perfect way. Because this is something that they would do if he was still here. Which, hey, guess what? It's not just about Bruce Allen. It's about Dan Snyder. There's nothing redeemable about this. Don't do it, Washington fans. Don't talk yourself into it, because I know you're gonna do it, because you have to do it, and you're a fan, and it's gonna get to be like I was saying to you, RJ, on the mixtape yesterday. Like you're gonna get to, you might not be jazzed about the Cowboys right now, but you'll get to August and you'll be like talking yourself into it. I remember Eagles fans were talking themselves into Juan Castillo, their offensive line coach, becoming the defensive coordinator. Like fans will talk themselves into anything.
Texas A&I Javelina, Juan Castillo. Let's put some respect on Juan's name. That's all I'm saying.
It's not disrespectful to Juan Castillo. It's
that was the worst idea of all time.
Your offensive line coach or defensive coordinator. Pretty simple. It's just like, but don't do it. Don't do it. Don't talk yourselves into it. It's not going to be worth it. Like it's going to cause pain. You should be out on this from the beginning. And if he happens to prove you wrong, which is very unlikely, but if he did, then okay, then you'll live with that. You'll live with being wrong. You can't go into this having optimism. You can't. You have to abandon all hope with this case. There's nothing to hang your hat on. What do I always say? It's an organization that can't hang their hat on anything, that acquired a quarterback who can't hang their hat on anything.
The last thing I'll say on this, I mean, dude, wow. This is the only way I can put this in perspective. A football fan, like in a hypothetical world, a New York Giants fan with Joe Judge returning in 2022 has more reasons for optimism than a Commanders fan whose team just traded for Carson Wentz. Is that fair to say?
It's bleak.
And, dude, what an L you have taken. Ron Rivera knows what he's doing. Ron Rivera is so great. Ron Rivera is so smart. Ron Rivera is so awesome.
How did the Cowboys do in the playoffs this year, by the way?
Dude, this is an embarrassment for Ron Rivera. Like, to have his name on this is an embarrassment. Like, this is an embarrassment of all embarrassment.
This is a
king of embarrassments.
I never said he was a good personnel guy. I never said that. I never check the tapes. I never said that.
Okay. Well, great win for Real Madrid, for the Dallas Cowboys, for the Philadelphia Eagles, for the New York Giants. It's rare that we have a moment of unity here on the NFC East Mixtape, but that is what Carson Wentz has done. This will not be titled as a volume. It's not volume 48. This is an emergency edition. We finally got to do it. So in that sense, like, it really is appropriate that it was Carson Wentz that got us to fire off this signal. Have you seen the new Batman, by the way, speaking of the bat signal?
Not yet. I will be getting to it at some point, but not sure when. But I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I think we've said it all, Brandon Lee. We've done it very Brandon Lee. So the final 5 words belong to you.
The final 5 words belong to you. Make them great.
Make them great is 3 words. Give us 5 words. Come on, do it. Actually, give us 5 words. You can do it.
Carson Wentz sucks so much.
You should have gone with sucks at football.